Morning, students. So in the previous classes, we discussed regarding some of the chemical properties of phenols. So which are nothing but coal-based reaction, Raymond-Taman reaction. Up to there we discussed. And now still two more chemical properties are left. So there is nothing but distillation with zinc. See when phenol. So when phenols are distilled with zinc dust, nothing but a finely divided zinc powder. So when phenols are treated with a finely divided zinc powder, then the reduction of phenols takes place. Means the zinc combines with this oxygen and forms a zinc oxide ZnO, and this phenol is reduced to benzene. This is nothing but a reduction of phenols. So reduction of phenol with zinc dust gives benzene. This is nothing but reduction property. Next, oxidation of phenols. Oxidation of phenols. So this oxidation of phenol with chromic acid. So chromic acid is nothing but H2CrO4, and the chromic acid is obtained by the reaction of sodium dichromate Na2Cr2O7 with H2SO4. So oxidation of phenol with chromic acid, nothing but the mixture of sodium dichromate and H2SO4 gives a conjugated diketone. This is carbonyl group C double bond O, and this is the conjugation here. So this is a conjugated diketone known as quinone. This is known as quinone. So phenol on oxidation with chromic acid, there is Na2Cr2O7 and H2SO4. It gives a conjugated diketone, and the conjugated diketone is known as quinone. Okay, and here in this reaction we can also use CrO3 as oxidizing agent. CrO3 is also used as an oxidizing agent in this reaction. And one more oxidation. Suppose if phenols, if a phenol is subjected to oxidation in the presence of K2S2O8, potassium persulfate, in alkaline medium, then phenol is oxidized to quinol. Quinol is a conjugated dihydric phenol. This is quinol. This is quinol, and this is called as Elb's oxidation. Called as Elb's oxidation. So this is regarding oxidation of phenols. So oxidation of phenol with chromic acid gives a conjugated diketone known as quinone, and oxidation of phenols with K2S2O8 gives dihydric phenol known as quinol. So this is regarding chemical properties of phenols. So regarding chemical properties of phenols, what we discussed is the reactions involving the cleavage of OH bond, and the reactions which involves aromatic electrophilic substitution, reduction of phenols, and oxidation of phenols. So this is regarding chemical properties of phenols. Now let us see what are the tests for phenols. How to identify whether a given compound is a phenol or not. What are different tests used in laboratory for phenols? There is the first one, test for phenols. That the first one is a neutral FeCl3 test. Actually, the aqueous solution of ferric chloride is acidic in nature, and that is neutralized first by adding some base, and that is called as neutral ferric chloride solution. Right. So when phenols are treated with neutral ferric chloride, means if in a given organic compound, nothing but phenol is treated with neutral ferric chloride, we can get a violet color solution. The solution turns to violet color. So this is called as neutral ferric chloride. So what this violet color compound formed here is, see, phenol. Solid C6H5OH react with Fe+3. That's what ferric chloride, the complete formula, FeCl3, ferric chloride. Then with ferric ions, this phenate ion forms a complex. Then you can get FeOC6H5 taken 6 times 3 minus plus 3HCl plus 3H plus. So this is the compound what is formed. And what the complex formed here? So this complex formed here is in a violet color. So when phenols are treated with a neutral ferric chloride, they give us a violet color complex. That means the solution turns to violet color. This is the test for phenols, first one. Now come to the second test. With a bromine water, so regarding this reaction with bromine water, already we discussed in chemical properties. See, when phenols, so when phenol is treated with bromine water, there is a bromine dissolved in water, then we can get a white precipitate of 2,4,6 tribromophenol. This is nothing but 2,4,6 tribromophenol. This we already discussed in the chemical properties, which is a white PPT. A white precipitate is formed. So this is another test for phenols. Phenols, when treated with bromine water, they give us 2,4,6 tribromophenol, which is a white precipitate. Right. And third test, Thalin dye test. Thalin dye test. This is nothing but so when phenols here, phenol plus phthalic anhydride, phenol plus phthalic anhydride plus a few drops of concentrated H2SO4 and heated. So when phenol is treated with phthalic anhydride and concentrated H2SO4, we will get an indicator called a phenolphthalein. We will get an indicator phenolphthalein. And now to this solution, if add a sodium hydroxide solution, aqueous NaOH solution, if you add, it gives a pink color. This is called as a Thalin dye test. Okay, so when a phenol is treated with a phthalic anhydride and concentrated H2SO4, we will get a compound known as a phenolphthalein, which acts as an indicator, and this phenolphthalein indicator gives a pink color in aqueous alkaline medium. So I will write the equation also here. Phenol. So when this phenol is treated with phthalic anhydride, see, on the benzene ring in ortho position, if two COOH groups are there, that is called phthalic acid. And from the two COOH groups, if you eliminate a water molecule, then we can get anhydride, that is called as a phthalic anhydride. So phenol, This react with phthalic anhydride, and the reaction takes place in the presence of concentrated H2SO4. Then what will happen here is, see, it contains hydrogen at para position. Now 2 moles of phenol. At the para position, what the 2 hydrogens are there, and these 2 hydrogens and this oxygen means this undergo condensation. So phenol undergo condensation with phthalic anhydride and forms the compound like this. CO OH. Same here also a benzene ring. Just write it here. OH. This one. So this compound, what is formed here? This is the structure of phenolphthalein. And this phenolphthalein is colorless in acidic medium. So once phenol undergo condensation with phthalic anhydride in the presence of concentrated H2SO4 and use a phenolphthalein indicator. And this phenolphthalein indicator is colorless in acidic medium. So now to this if add NaOH, then to this phenolphthalein if add NaOH, this is converted to ionic form. Okay. So then that ionic form was formed in the presence of basic medium that gives a pink color. Okay. Right. So this is known as Thiolin dye test. Phenol plus phthalic anhydride plus H2SO4 on reaction gives a phenolphthalein indicator, and that phenolphthalein indicator gives a pink color with a strong bases. You can not only NaOH, you can take any strong base here like KOH or RBOH, anyone. In strong basic medium, it gives a pink color. This is known as a Thiolin dye test. And both these two tests, that is with a reaction with a neutral ferric chloride and Thiolin dye test. Both these two tests, they are asking in the practical Viva examination questions also. They will ask, explain any 2 tests for phenols, or particularly they will ask the test. So neutral ferric chloride test and Thiolin dye test. These 2 tests are even required for a practical examination. Okay. And still one more reaction is there, one more test is there. Okay. See once, with neutral ferric chloride, they give us violet color. With bromine water, they give us white PPT of symmetrical tribromophenol. Thiolin dye test. Phenol plus phthalic anhydride plus H2SO4 gives phenolphthalein. That phenolphthalein gives pink color with strong base. Okay. And one more test is there, 4th one. There is nothing but a Lieberman test. Yeah, what is this Lieberman test? See here now. So phenol on treating with the mixture of NaNO2 and H2SO4. So phenols on treating with sodium nitrite plus sulfuric acid. Okay. So first it forms para-nitrosophenol, NO. Nothing but here H is there. Okay. So NaNO2 plus H2SO4 combined to form HNO2. HONO. This is nothing but HNO2. And this OH and H get eliminated as water, and a nitrosyl group, nothing but nitrosonium ion, NO plus. So nitrosonium ion replaces this H plus, simply called as. First these two react to produce nitrous acid HNO2. and from the nitrous acid, it produces nitrosonium ion, NO plus. This is the attacking electrophile in this reaction. This nitrosonium ion replaces H plus. The replaced H plus at this para position and OH minus combine to form water. Then you can get a para nitrosophenol. And this para nitrosophenol undergo a rearrangement. This para nitrosophenol undergo rearrangement and gives quinol. So quinone. This is the rearranged product what is formed here. Now this rearranged product what is formed, this is nothing but quinone form, and this rearranged product further undergo condensation with phenol. So with phenol it undergo further condensation. That means here water molecule get eliminates. Then so we can get an organic compound which is having structure like this. Double bond O, double bond N, single bond OH. This is the compound what is formed here, and this compound is named as indophenol. This is named as indophenol, and this indophenol on dilution with water gives red color. So this indophenol on dilution with water gives red color. When this is treated with sodium hydroxide NaOH with alkalis, then gives sodium salt of the compound, nothing but double bond O, O minus Na plus. So sodium salt of that indophenol will be formed. Sodium salt of that indophenol gives a blue or green color. So blue or green color will be formed. So this is the overall reaction. Okay. So students, phenol on reaction with sodium nitrite and H2SO4. First it gives para nitrosophenol, and this para nitrosophenol rearranges to give quinone form, and this undergo further condensation with phenol and gives indophenol, and that indophenol on dilution with water gives red color, and this on reaction with the base, and this is added to base like NaO strong base, then it gives either a blue color or a green color. So this is known as Lieberman's test. So this test is not there in syllabus. This is additional information, just useful for objective examination only. So these are the 4 tests which are used for testing phenols. See once, with the neutral ferric chloride, phenols gives violet color. With bromine water, they gives white PPT of symmetrical tribromo phenol. And phthalate dye test, phenol plus phthalic anhydride plus H2SO4, on treating we can get a phenolphthalein indicator, and that phenolphthalein indicator gives a pink color with NaOH solution. And 4th one is a Lieberman test. Reaction with NaNO and H2SO4 followed by gives indophenol, which on in alkaline medium gives either blue color or green color. So this is regarding test for phenols. Okay, right. Now, so what are the uses? What are the uses of phenols? Where we use phenols? First one is, see, phenol can be used as antiseptic as well as disinfectant. So antiseptic means these are used on living organisms. Disinfectant means used on non-living organisms like floors and tiles. So 0.2% phenol can act as antiseptic, whereas 1% phenol can act as disinfectant. So same substance in different concentration can act as antiseptic as well as disinfectant. So in lower concentration, the compound can act as antiseptic, whereas in higher concentration, it can act as disinfectant. This is the first use. Next, phenols. So phenols on reduction gives cyclohexanol, means hydrogenation. Hydrogenation of phenols gives cyclohexanol, and that cyclohexanol is used as a solvent in the rubber industry. As a solvent in rubber industry, that cyclohexanol is used. Next, phenol is used as an ink preservative. So for the preservation of ink, means without having, means drying for a long time, phenol is used as ink preservative. This is one more use. And one more. Phenol is used for the preparation of compounds like bakelite. So bakelite is a polymer of phenol and formaldehyde, which are used in the preparation of electrical insulators. And phenol is used in the preparation of compounds like salicylaldehyde, salicylic acid, 2,4,6 trinitrophenol, which is an yellow crystalline solid. Like this, in the preparation of some intermediate compounds, that is in the preparation of manufacture of drugs. So this phenol is used. So these are the major uses of phenols. Okay, this is our second topic of this chapter. Alcohols and phenols completed. So today we'll upload the material, that means notes for this alcohols, phenols and ethers. Just for that, through WhatsApp we'll send that. Okay, right. Now come to the third topic of this chapter, ethers. This is the third topic, ethers. See, what are ethers? Let us see. So ether can be defined as the derivatives of alkanes, or the derivatives of water, or the derivatives of alcohols. In three different ways we can define. Say, if you take alkane, RH, from the alkane, if one hydrogen is replaced with an alkoxy group, then what will you get here now? ROR dash. So ethers are the alkoxy derivatives of hydrocarbons, nothing but alkanes, in which a hydrogen atom is replaced by alkoxy group. Like this we can define. Alkoxy derivatives of alkanes are ethers. R. So you can define this ether as the derivative of water also. So nothing but here, two hydrogens are replaced by two alkyl groups. Then what will you get here? ROR, nothing but ether. Here oxygen contains two lone pairs. So ethers are the dialkyl derivatives of water, which are obtained by replacing two hydrogens of water by two alkyl groups. Like this we can define. R. ROH, alcohol. In this alcohol, if one hydrogen replaced by an alkyl group, then we can get ROR dash. So ethers are the alkyl derivatives of alcohols, which are obtained by replacing a hydrogen of OH by alkyl group. So alkyl derivatives of alcohols are nothing but ethers. In one more way also we can define it. So in intermolecular dehydration product from two alcohol molecules, if eliminate a water molecule, then we can get ether. So alcohols are the dehydration product of alcohols. Intermolecular dehydration of alcohols gives ethers. So like this, in different ways we can define ether. So ethers are alkoxy derivatives of alkanes obtained by replacing hydrogen by alkoxy group, or dialkyl derivatives of water, in which two hydrogens of water are replaced by alkyl groups, or alkyl derivatives of alcohols, in which a hydrogen of hydroxyl group replaced by alkyl group, or as the intermolecular dehydration product of alcohols. From two alcohol molecules, if eliminate one water molecule, we can get ether. So like this, in four different ways we can define ethers. This is regarding definition of ethers. Okay. So ethers are the alkyl derivatives of alkanes, or the dialkyl derivatives of water, or alkyl derivative of alcohol, or intermolecular dehydration product of alcohols. So in the four different ways we can define ethers. Then, so how to classify ethers? So ethers are classified depending on symmetry. This is a simple classification. Symmetry, and based on nature of groups. That is R comma R dash. What the two groups present on that is based on that, it is another classification. Right. Based on symmetry, so these are classified as symmetrical ethers, unsymmetrical ethers, symmetrical ethers, and unsymmetrical ethers. And these symmetrical ethers are also called as simple ethers. This unsymmetrical ethers are also called as mixed ethers. Simple ethers and mixed ethers. Okay. Now, here, based on the nature of alkyl groups, or based on the nature of the groups attached to oxygen, these are classified as aliphatic ethers and aromatic ethers. Aliphatic ethers and aromatic ethers. Again, these aromatic ethers are of two types. They are alkyl aryl ethers, alkyl aryl ethers, and diaryl ethers. Alkyl aryl ethers and diaryl ethers. Okay. Now, what are symmetrical ethers or simple ethers? See, what is the general formula of ethers? Cn H2n plus 2O. This is the general formula of ethers. Cn H2n plus 2O, otherwise R ROR, otherwise ROR dash. That R and R dash may be same or may be different. Depending on that, these are classified. Suppose if the two groups, there is a two alkyl groups or aryl groups or whatever it may be, the two groups attached to oxygen are same, they are called as symmetrical ethers or simple ethers. So the ethers in which both R and R dash are same are called symmetrical ethers. So here R comma R dash are same. An examples here, CH3O CH3. Regarding nomenclature, afterwards classification we will discuss. C2H5O C2H5. Okay, like this. Otherwise, both aryl groups you may take. Both are aryl groups. Like this. If two groups, that is R and R dash are same, they are called as symmetrical ethers. Then, what are unsymmetrical ethers or mixed ethers? The two groups attached to oxygen are different. That is R comma R dash are different. If R comma R dash are different, then it is called as a mixed ether. Let us see what those mixed ethers are. CH3OC2H5. One is methyl group, one is ethyl group. Otherwise, C2H5OC2, sorry, C3H7. Otherwise, CH3OC6H5. So both groups should be different. That's all. Whatever it may be, the group is either alkyl or aryl, whatever it may be. If both R and R dash attached to oxygen are different, then they are called as unsymmetrical ethers. If both R and R dash attached to oxygen are same, they are called as simple ethers. Okay, simple ethers and mixed ethers. This is one classification. Now come to another one. Based on the nature of the groups. So based on the nature of the groups, these are classified as aliphatic ethers and aromatic ethers. See now here, if both R and R dash are alkyl groups, in a given ether, both R and R dash are alkyl groups, then it is called as aliphatic ether. Now here if we take this is an aliphatic ether, like this one, this one, this one, all these four you can take examples here. Okay, CH3, OCH3, otherwise C3H7, OC2H5, like this you can write. Both groups, there is R and R dash, both must be alkyl groups. Then it is called as aliphatic ethers. Then what are aromatic ethers? See, aromatic ethers are either R, otherwise R dash, or both. Either one or both are aryl groups, then they are called as aromatic ethers. So R, otherwise R dash, otherwise both are aryl groups, then it is called as aromatic ethers. Now in that, out of this R and R dash, one is alkyl group and one is aryl group, that is called as alkyl aryl ethers. An example, CH3O C6H5. One is alkyl group and one is aryl group. So out of the two groups, one is alkyl group and one is aryl group. They are called as alkyl aryl ethers. Next, diaryl ethers. If both groups are aryl groups, that is both are aromatic, simply benzene rings. That is a diaryl ether. So this is regarding classification of ethers. Let us see once again. So ethers are classified based on the symmetry, means what the two groups attached to the oxygen atom, that is RO, R dash. If both R and R dash are same, they are called as symmetrical ethers. If R and R dash are different, they are called unsymmetrical ethers. And same means they may be either alkyl or aryl, whatever it may be. So here in these two, both are alkyl groups. In this, both are aryl groups. So both groups must be same, that's all. Whether they may be alkyl or aryl or aralkyl also. Okay, any group it may be. Now, unsymmetrical means both groups should be different. Here also, one group is alkyl, one group is aryl, or alkyl and aralkyl, otherwise aryl and aralkyl, like that. Two groups should be there, two groups must be different. Maybe aryl or aralkyl or alkyl, whatever it may be. Next, based on the nature of the groups, either alkyl group or aryl group is present. If R and R dash both are alkyl groups, they are called as aliphatic ethers. If either R or R dash or both are aryl groups, that is, those are called aromatic ethers. Now, again in that, if one is alkyl group, one is aryl group, it is called as alkyl aryl ether. If both are aryl groups, that is called as diaryl ethers. Like that, the ethers are classified based on the symmetry and based on the nature of the groups which are bonded to the oxygen atom. So this is regarding classification of ethers. Okay, right. Now come to nomenclature of ethers. See here. So in a common system, so according to common system, ethers are named by representing the name of the groups in alphabetical order. So alkyl groups in alphabet order plus ether. First, we should represent the two alkyl groups in alphabetical order. After representing the two alkyl groups in alphabetical order, the name ends with ether. Okay, this is common name. A simple examples here. CH3OC2H5, CH3OCH3. Just ordered common. This is methyl group. This is also methyl group. Two are methyl groups. If two are same groups, then we will add a prefix di before the name of the alkyl group. Two similar groups are present, add a prefix di to the name of the alkyl group and then ending with ether. So two methyl groups are there, dimethyl ether. This is common. And here, methyl, ethyl both are there. As per alphabetical order, first we should represent ethyl. Now this is named as ethyl, methyl, ether. So ethyl, methyl, ether is the common name. Like this. Common names should write by representing the name of the two alkyl groups in alphabetical order ending with ether. Suppose if the two alkyl groups are same, we will add a prefix di to the name of the alkyl group. Diethyl ether, dimethyl ether, like that. Dipropyl ether, diisopropyl ether, like that. This is common name. Then what is a IUPAC name? See, in writing these names of ethers, always ether group is represented as a prefix, not as a suffix, as per the rules of IUPAC nomenclature. So, ethers are represented, means that OR, the functional group of ether is OR, and this OR is nothing but alkoxy. That alkoxy group is always represented as a prefix, not as a suffix. Now, according to IUPAC system, suppose this is ether, ROR. Now this is named as alkoxy alkane. Alkoxy alkane is the IUPAC name. Okay, and if two alkyl groups are present, both are same, no problem. Suppose if both are different, one is R and another is R dash, then two possibilities are there. This you may take as alkoxy group, or this you may take as alkoxy group. Now, which one you should take as an alkoxy group here is, so if two different alkyl groups are present, ROR dash, then among these two alkyl groups, which is larger, that should be taken as the parent alkane. Suppose this is a larger alkyl group and this is smaller alkyl group. If two different alkyl groups are present, smaller alkyl group is named as alkoxy. Larger alkyl group is taken as the parent alkane. Okay. So two similar groups are there, either you can take as alkoxy. In case if it is an unsymmetrical ether, in case of unsymmetrical ethers, smaller alkyl group is named as alkoxy and larger alkyl group is named as alkane. That is as the parent chain. So these are the conditions to write the names for ethers. Now let us see some examples. CH3OCH3. Yeah, what is the common name here? Two methyl groups are there. So this is named as dimethyl ether. Dimethyl ether is the common name. Then what is its IUPAC name? Two alkyl groups are there. Both alkyl groups are same. So now I'll represent this as alkoxy. Nothing but methoxy. This is alkane. Means methane. So the IUPAC name is methoxymethane. So this is an example here. This is alkoxy alkane, methoxy methane IUPAC name. Now let's take one more example here. CH3OC2H5. Now what is the name of this compound? Here two alkyl groups are different. So we'll represent in alphabetical order. This is ethyl, this is methyl. Now this is named as ethyl methyl ether. So ethyl methyl ether is its name, common name. What is IUPAC name? Now say ethyl methyl. In these two, which is smaller? Methyl group is smaller. So this is named as methoxyethane. So the IUPAC name is methoxyethane. Let's take one more example now. C2H5OC2H5. Now both alkyl groups are same. This is nothing but diethyl ether, common name. So diethyl ether. Diethyl ether is the common name. And its IUPAC name is, since both are same, either you can take as alkoxy, nothing but this is ethoxyethane. Ethoxyethane is the IUPAC name. Take one more example. CH3O CH2 CH2 CH3. This is methyl, this is propyl. Now the common name is, this is methyl propyl ether. Methyl propyl ether. This is common name. Then what is its IUPAC name? Now its IUPAC name is, this is smaller group and this is named as alkoxy, methoxy. Here this is propane. So the IUPAC name is methoxypropane. Methoxypropane is the IUPAC name. Take one more example. CH3O CH3 CH3. This is another compound. Then what is the IUPAC name here? Isopropyl. This is methyl. So isopropyl methyl ether. The common name is isopropyl methyl ether. Isopropyl methyl ether. This is the common name. And what is IUPAC name? So among these two, which is smaller group? This is smaller group. This is named as alkoxy. So this is methoxy. Methoxy group this is. Now this is not propane. Just give numbering here. This is the alkane here now. First carbon. This is second carbon. This is third carbon. Now at the second carbon there is methoxy group. So this is named as 2-methoxy. Methoxy group is present at second position. 2-methoxypropane. This is okay, right? This is an example. Now let us take some other examples. CH3 CHO CH3 CH3. This is a compound. Then what is the common name of this compound? This is isopropyl group. This is also isopropyl group. So this is named as diisopropyl. Diisopropyl ether. This is the common name. So diisopropyl is the common name. Then what is IUPAC name? Since both are same groups, we can represent any one of them as alkoxy. Okay. Now this group, this is propoxy, but oxygen is not bonded to first carbon. Yeah, this is first carbon, this is second carbon, this is third carbon. This is a 2-propoxy, and this 2-propoxy group is present at what position of this alkane? Again, this is at second position only. Now this is taken as the parent alkane. This is named as alkoxy. What is the parent alkane? Propane. In propane, at what position is there? Second position. So 2 at second position substance is there. At second position, which substance is there? 2-propoxy. So don't write 2 comma 2-propoxy. 2 in the bracket, we should represent the name of this. At the second position of this propane, 2-propoxy group is there. 2-propoxy propane, like this you should write. In the propane, at the second position, substance is there. So at second position, the substance is there. At second position, which substance is there? 2-propoxy. Don't write this as isopropoxy. This is a 2-propoxy propane. 2-propoxy propane. Yeah, this is the IUPAC name of this compound. Right. Now let us take some other examples. OCH3, OC2H5. Right. Now, what is the common name of this compound? So this is nothing but methoxybenzene. Sorry. So methyl phenyl ether. Methyl phenyl ether, simply called as anisole. Actually, this is the common name. Anisole is the common name, or this is methyl phenyl ether. Then what is its IUPAC name? Which is smaller group among these methyl group? So this is named as methoxybenzene. So the IUPAC name is methoxybenzene. So methoxybenzene is the IUPAC name. Now take this. This is ethyl phenyl ether. Ethyl phenyl ether is the common name, and this is also called as phenetol. Phenetol is the common name. Instead of using this phenetol term is used as a common name. And what is the IUPAC name? Ethoxybenzene. Ethoxybenzene. This is the IUPAC name. Now take one more example here. CH2 4 times CH2 CH3. This is. Then what is the common? This is heptyl group. Heptyl phenyl ether. So the common name is, this is heptyl group, this is phenyl group. So the common name is heptyl phenyl ether. Heptyl phenyl ether is the common name. Then what is its IUPAC name? Let us see now. So here this is named as methoxybenzene, this is ethoxybenzene, this is not heptoxybenzene. Why? Because here this benzene ring contains 6 carbons only, whereas this alkyl group contains 7 carbons. So this should be taken as the parent chain, and this phenoxy is represented as the branch. Here methoxy, this alkoxy is represented as the branch, this is taken as the parent alkane. And in this heptyl group, this should be taken as the parent chain, and this phenoxy is represented as the substituent. Now this compound is named as phenoxy heptane, not heptoxybenzene. This is named as phenoxy heptane because among the 2 alkyl groups, which is either alkyl or allyl, whatever it may be, which contains more number of carbons, that should be taken as the parent chain. So now this heptane is taken as the parent chain, and this is named as phenoxy. So phenoxyheptane, this is IUPAC name. Right. Let us see some other examples. Now this is another example. So what is the common name of this compound here? What are the two groups there? One is benzyl C6H5CH2. Another is methyl. Now this is nothing but benzyl methyl ether. So benzyl methyl ether is the common name. Then what is its IUPAC name? Phenyl methoxymethane. This is named as the derivative of methane. So now this is named as methoxy phenyl methane. So methoxy phenyl methane. This is. Now suppose if two or more alkoxy groups are there outright. For example, CH2, CH2, OCH3, OCH3, like this is there. There is no common name for this. Just will write IUPAC name only. No common name for this compound. Now see here, 1, 2. This should be taken as the parent chain, and these two are represented as alkoxy group. Now this is IUPAC name is 1,2 dimethoxy. 1,2 dimethoxyethane. 1,2 dimethoxyethane. This is IUPAC name of this compound. Now let us take one more example. Like this is there, and one more compound, last one. Like this is one more compound is there. So there is no common names for this, just to let IUPAC names only. So what is IUPAC name? This is nothing but methyl CH3 group is there. This is CH3, this is CH3. Then, so what is the IUPAC name of this compound? Here 1, here 2. Two possibilities are there. Otherwise, this should be 1, this should be 2. Okay. So 1 should be given here, 2 should be given here. Now this is named as 1-methoxy 2-methyl cyclohexane. So 1-methoxy 2-methyl cyclohexane. That is the IUPAC name. Now just give the numbering here. So if you give 1 here, 2 here, like this, this is wrong here again. Why? Because here we should follow the lowest sum rule. Just now I told you, alkoxy group is always represented as a prefix, not as a suffix. Just we should follow the lowest sum rule. So here numbering is not given like this, 1 and 2. This should be 1 and this should be 2. Because if you give 1 and 2 here, 1 plus 2 plus 2, 5 you will get. If you give 1 and 2 here, 1 plus 1 plus 2, 4 you will get. Lowest sum rule is satisfied here. Now the name is 2-methoxy 1,1 dimethyl cyclohexane. This is. So no common names for this. Okay, these are the only IUPAC names. So this is regarding nomenclature of ethers. Okay. So in tomorrow class we'll discuss regarding preparation and properties of ethers.